You've landed on the science of fishing, where passion meets precision. Before we dive in, we would like to thank Bloody Battery, Sea Mule, and Black Reef Co. for sponsoring this episode.
What's going on, everybody? Mark here with another episode of The Science of Fishing. Today's a very special episode. We're sitting down with Jamie Bunn from Fish Blue Water, and we're going to talk all things Quest of the Crest. Jamie, how you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Good to see you. Happy belated Thanksgiving.
Yes, sir. You too. It's great to be here with you. This is awesome. I mean, look at the set, man. This is incredible.
Phenomenal. Hey, listen, that's the product we expect from Science of Fishing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I appreciate you. And Fish Blue Water, I mean, you guys have a great product. We're getting ready for the Quest for the Crest. We're going to get out there and we're going to have a lot of fun. So tell me about what's coming up, what's happening. You know, we got early registration, right? What's next?
Well, so, I mean, sailfish season is almost here. If you actually log into the homepage of the website, you'll see I think we've got 39 days and counting until the actual kickoff to the 13th annual Quest for the Crest series, and just lots to get excited about. You know, we've had some really chilly, cold weather this week. I mean, as we speak, as we're recording this, the Dust 'em Off Sailfish Tournament is literally tomorrow. Yep. I've seen some flags flying and all that type of stuff. And so now that we're all kind of back from the Thanksgiving holiday break and we've got a short little window now between there and Christmas, we're getting all of our ducks in a row for leg one, Operation Sailfish, up at Sailfish Marina in West Palm. I got to say it's probably my favorite event in the series, if not my favorite event of everything that we do because of the patriotic nature of it and the Take a Hero Fishing Day. So we're just excited about that and excited to get things rocking and rolling.
I love that. That's awesome, man. I'm super excited about it. I hope I can get out there on a boat and maybe fish a day or two, this coming season and be out there for your tournaments. But, let's talk about the history of the Quest for the Crest. Let's get into that a little bit. You said it was 13 years that you've been putting this on. Talk to me about how that's all come together.
So, yeah, it's 13 years for the series, and the Sailfish Challenge, which is leg 2, we were running that for several years before we actually brought in the full series format. We're probably, I think, close to 20 years on that particular tournament. It's like everything that I've ever done as far as fishing is concerned. My goal has always been to put out the kind of product that I feel like myself as a competitive fisherman would look for in terms of, great quality competition, reasonable entry fees, great opportunity for prize structure. And, as we took that kind of vision into the Sailfish series, we just brought everything up to a higher level of competition. Obviously, you've got some very, well-respected teams. I would say probably the elite fishermen in competitive fishing, certainly in South Florida, and bill fishing that are represented right here inside this series. And that's really, I think, kind of the context of it is putting top teams together in great destinations. It travels obviously from Palm Beach down to Miami, which is now in Coconut Grove. So we give them 3 different locations. It's not a tournament that favors local knowledge per se, because you're going to move to 3 different locations as you go through it. And it's a very challenging proposition, not only in terms of where they're fishing and what they're doing, who they're fishing against, to succeed, win an individual tournament, much less, of course, the world title in competitive sailfishing, which is the Burgundy Jacket.
Absolutely. I mean, I can't wait to see who's going to be winning those Burgundy Jackets at the end of this season. It's going to be an exciting battle.
I'm stoked to tell you that it's a new Burgundy Jacket for this season. We've got Sims Apparel, who's come on as our new performance apparel sponsor. Super stoked. They're going to be providing shirts to all of the teams and the events. They're manufacturing the new Burgundy Jacket, and I've always been a big fan of the brand. Obviously, they cut their teeth on Midwest fishing and all that kind of stuff, but don't sleep. They're coming for the saltwater.
I love it. Simms makes a great product. I mean, they're awesome. Super excited to see that they're getting involved, and I wonder what those jackets are going to look like. It's going to be pretty cool, huh?
Well, there's parameters. We require them to stay in the lane of certain things in terms of, the continuity that we want with the burgundy jacket and that kind of stuff. But so there'll be some similarities from jackets of the years past. I'm still looking forward to the day when we're many years in, but I would love to get all these champions together in one room together one night with all their burgundy jackets on, a social event, because we're 13 teams deep now into that Hall of Fame club. So
I love that. So, speaking about that, these teams, these world champions, this creates something for the sport of fishing. I mean, you've been able to harness this bill fishing, the sail fishing. You've brought it together, and the best of the best, like you said, are competing in your series. I mean, getting these guys there and the importance of it is just quite incredible. I mean, what do you see this is doing for, sport fishing in general?
I think it just I think it widens the lens of the sport of competitive fishing for people to be able to see. It certainly raises the stakes in terms of, what they have the opportunity to compete for. The events themselves are premier, first class. You take like Operation Sailfish up in West Palm Beach. That's the one that's first in line. Sailfish Marina does a fantastic job in terms of all the food hospitality. We, open bars for these guys, happy hours, both days. Obviously, we've got the Take a Hero Veteran Day that we weave in there. Toby Keith, who obviously passed this past year, rest in peace, Toby. But we actually are we've got a Toby Keith tribute band that's coming out to play Thursday night after the Take a Hero Day up in Sailfish Marina. So that's going to be a fantastic event. So the experience is just first class. The opportunity to compete for a lot of money is there. But what I think is an important message that, because sometimes it gets lost in the glamour of, how these events are promoted and the kind of money that these teams are winning. Remember, it's $1,200 to get in the tournament. That's the base fee, which I think it makes it accessible to most all teams if they have a desire and an appetite to jump in and throw their hat into the ring, want to be a part of the social experience, want to rub elbows with literally, bill fishing royalty as far as some of these teams are concerned, and do it at a reasonable expense. And if they want to spend more for the chance to win more, they can do that, So I think to answer your question, we've certainly elevated the visibility of the sport. We not only attract some of the best teams but it continues to bring. We've already seen, half of our teams that are pre-registered for this event right now are new. They're all new.
Really?
And that to me, I think, speaks to, the outreach, the engagement, and, the job that my amazing team does to help recruit and promote.
Absolutely. So is there anybody, in particular you're super excited to see this season?
I can't say that.
You got to be unbiased, I know.
I'm excited to see all of them. We have from you've got teams that have been fishing my tournaments from the very beginning. You've got family teams that are coming out and not even just targeting sailfish, but you've got Frank Langdon and his wife Katrina fishing together with Pat Abbey on their smaller center console. I believe it's a 33 Invincible, and they target meatfish. You know what? And I love seeing them there because they're happy, they're appreciative, they just enjoy every aspect of the events. And then you can flip that coin, and Michael Jordan's team is there. And you have celebrity participation like that. And I think, in addition to that, for me, because I built this from a passion for competitive fishing. That's where this all started. I've been on record many times saying, I didn't go to school. I didn't go to any, business school. I didn't take any business courses in college. I learned everything that I know to this day, through passion for fishing and learning the business practices along the way. But in that passion for the competitive fishing, many of these teams are personal friends of mine. John Dudas from Sandman is a close buddy of mine. We were on the same hunting lease together. Art Sapp and I are best friends. The list goes on and on. So these aren't only customers. These are true friends of mine.
Absolutely. So speaking about that, camaraderie and everybody being involved and you being excited to see everybody, let's take it back last season and let's talk about what was the most exciting moment from, this past season.
Well, how about I give you the most exciting moment in my mind, maybe, period.
Okay.
Because we're going to jump into, I think, next season or this past season here in a minute, right?
Yeah.
I gotta say, there's been some high moments, like some, goosebump on your neck type moments in this series. There's no question, certainly the Miss Annie, moment where they took down the release roundup after I think 2.5 seasons of rollover. It was $1,000 buy-in for the release roundup Calcutta, and I think in total we wrote them a check for almost $500,000.
Wow.
It was a big moment in the series. But from a competitive standpoint, we've got to run it back 2 years ago, and we've got the video here that I think we're going to queue up. But Contender 1 squaring off against the most iconic athlete in the sport, Michael Jordan and his Catch-23 team.
Yeah.
For the burgundy jacket.
Okay.
Catch-23 takes the lead going into day 2 final sale, last day of the tournament. C1, Contender 1, had to have the day of days in order to be able to claim their first ever burgundy jacket. And as you'll see in this video that we're putting up here on the screen for you, they go on a run, release 19 fish. Whoa. The second day of the tournament. 5 releases within the last 10 minutes of this tournament, which is exactly what this footage is. They hook a quad, and in the midst of fighting the quad, they hook another fish. Release all 5. Ladies and gentlemen, in the world of competitive sailfishing, we call that a 5-banger. And they go on to overcome their deficit because they had the lead and lost it against Catch-23.
Wow.
They had it going into the finale of the tournament. You want to talk about pressure and stress? Oh, yeah. Captain Q, also one of our Raymarine guys. And that was a moment that I'll never forget. I was standing at the docks at Miami Beach Marina hearing them call in the 5-banger.
Right.
And I'm like, this is unreal.
Yeah, I mean, for that to happen, that's like what you talk about. You have to be completely prepared for anything to happen, and that's what they were. They were completely prepared and ready to go, and they beat one of the best sports greats in history. They beat him in sailfishing that day. That's incredible. That is awesome.
But he hasn't given up. They're still in the mix and ready to fight another day. And, congrats to C1 on a great moment and entering the Burgundy Hall of Fame. I know they made Contender proud. I know they made Yamaha proud. And with that said, we've got a quick 30-second spot from our great sponsor, Yamaha Outboards.
Introducing the all-new Yamaha 4.3-liter V6 Offshore F350. It's a featherweight knockout, being the lightest 350 horsepower outboard on the water. This F350 marks the dawn of a new Yamaha power platform, borrowing advanced features of its V6 and V8 siblings. The Yamaha V6 Offshore F350. Exhilarating boating and incredible control in a powerfully light design.
Welcome back, guys. And now we're going to talk about last season with Jamie. Jamie, let's talk about 2024. What happened? I had your champs on the show, Team Liquidated, Patrick and Danny. So talk to me a little bit about last season.
Yeah, man, you can't say enough about those guys. Super proud of what they accomplished. I mean, it was it was definitely the story. I think the theme of the season was David versus Goliath, and not that there's not great fishermen on that boat. I think Patrick did a fabulous job as the kind of the operator of the team of putting together a capable crew. You got Trey Wheeler, who works at Custom Rod and Reel. He comes from a family of great fishermen, and many other young guys on that boat. Danny has fished with a lot of different teams, and so he's got a lot of different experience under his belt. He's had some great success as well in our meat fish series, the Pompano Beach Saltwater Circuit. So they definitely were capable, but they were also a new team to everybody. And they were fishing in a 36-foot center console, you know? And so you set that against a 63 Spencer that's out there, or in the case of the Surreal guys, a 92-foot Viking, you know, that's like their small tender boat, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, they had a fantastic season, starting with the first leg in Operation Sailfish. They came out swinging, had a rough start to the first day, but stayed in it, stayed positive, had a solid second day, and released enough fish to win the whole tournament, win almost 230 grand.
Wow.
And so then, right, it gets real, and then now all of a sudden the expectation and the pressure. They did what they needed to do in the Sailfish Challenge. I believe it was a top 5 finish, kept themselves in the mix, won a few bucks. And then heading down into Coconut Grove and Final Sail, that was the moment of truth where they had a lead. They had a little bit of distance between them and some other teams, but they had great teams like Fish On that were right there in contention. And like every season of the Quest, to win that burgundy jacket, there's no free handouts.
Yeah.
Like, you got to earn it. It says right there on the crest, privilege is earned.
Right. They're the first small boat to win it, right?
The first small boat to win it. And again, they went down in Final Sail. They had a rough start, and a Fish On was climbing the ladder. And I think Danny made an aggressive move and said, you know what? If we're going to get beat by Fish On, we're going to get beat right next to them. And so they made an aggressive move, sat right next to him, and decided to go fish for fish. They got hot, and they won the whole thing.
Wow. That's so incredible. I mean, those guys are true fishermen. I mean, when I talked to them and I interviewed them on the podcast a little while back, I mean, you could see the passion coming from Danny and Patrick, and the hunger to win was incredible. And I hear for everybody listening at home that fishies these tournaments, they're coming back and they're coming for blood. So
yeah, well, and they've, in addition to Contender, we've also got CV Boats, who's a great partner of Fish Blue Water, title sponsor of our summer series, sponsor of the Quest for the Crest. They've got some burgundy jackets to their brand history as well, and now Liquidated has moved into basically a 39 quad engine CV.
Yep.
That they're going to be competing on for the 2025 season. So
I'm excited to see it.
They're stepping their game up.
So let's shift a little from talking about smaller boats to a little bit bigger boats, and let's talk about Sandman. You know, John Dudas, legend. Talk to me about how they do in your tournaments. You know, they were 2 for 3 for firsts, right?
Right.
So let's talk about that.
I mean, if you want to truly look at I think you could talk to anybody in our sport and ask who is the Michael Jordan of competitive sail fishing, and there would be no argument that it's John Dudas. He is the best that I've ever seen to do it. I've fished with and against some of the best, captains in my career. And I just, knowing him personally, just his work ethic, his natural instincts, it's second to none. But what I think is special about him and his team is there's just nothing braggadocious about them. He's the most humble guy you'll ever meet. He's very appreciative of everything. And so, while they've have a rich history of winning a lot, nobody ever, I don't think anybody ever hates on them winning because, they work hard for it. But I will go back to the same thing from an optic standpoint too, because I'm sharing this with you because I hear it.
Yeah.
And you will hear people that will get at times maybe a little, I don't think salty is the right word, but frustrated because they feel like, well, can we beat these guys? How do we beat these guys? I would encourage, like, people could go back and look at, they had a storybook year last year in 24, and they took, I believe it was the season off before that. But prior to that, they had a couple of good tournaments here and there, but it's been a minute prior to 2024 since Sandman has won a tournament. He reminded everybody, in 24 what they're capable of. But I still say, kind of getting off topic, that, like anything in life, if you're passionate about something, if you're driven, if you're willing to put the work ethic in that it requires to compete at the level, anybody can do it. It's just a matter of whether you want to do it or not.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know a lot of the guys in the community down here have fished under him or fished under guys that have fished under him, and the consensus is he's MJ of fishing. He is the great, and different comparisons, but I'm looking forward to see what they're going to be doing and what's going to be happening, and I'm excited. So,
yeah, I mean, listen, two out of three victories in our tournament series last year, and another couple of victories to go along with it in other events. I mean, it's hard to not put them as the betting favorite, right? Going into 2025.
Oh yeah, you better tell DraftKings.
He probably,
right?
if he sees this, he's gonna be like, "You had to say that, right? You had to say that."
Well, we'll see. I'm sure. I wish them the best of luck.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens. But so let's transition a little bit into 2024 and talk about the Quest as a whole. Mm-hmm. And let's talk about that record sailfish bite.
Man, it was Sailfish Challenge. It was like nothing I've ever seen. I mean, we had 587 releases in total, well over the 300 release mark on day one. I think it was, actually, I want to say it was closer to 400 releases. Wow. You break that down into 8 hours of fishing and 60 seconds, I mean, it was literally, fish were being called in, every couple of minutes. So the radio room was nuts.
Yeah. How do you handle that?
you have a great team. You have a great team, and you have a great, you have the tools that you need, and you have a plan in place, and you prepare yourself, for scenarios like that, so that even when they don't hit, it doesn't change anything. But when they do hit, it's not amateur hour, you know? And I have a well-oiled machine in that radio room between, Julie Potter, my event manager, Lynn Mitchum, lifetime committee member and, administrative assistant. My wife's in there. Chris Caravello, our marketing guy, he's in there. And it's systematic. So had it been 1,000 fish tournament, they would have knocked it out of the park,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was, I think the excitement, like, I miss as a competitor not being able to do this like I used to, because it was my true passion. And hopefully one day maybe I'll be able to return to it in some capacity more frequently, but it's the closest that you can get when you're not actually out in the midst of the competition. And there's nothing that gets people more fired up about tournament fishing than good fishing.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And so, to put those kind of numbers up, we had, it was, I want to say it was trying to think of, my mind's going back actually to Contender 1 in the previous year in 22, because we had a great bite for that one as well. They did almost 30 releases in that particular tournament. But, you had multiple teams with over 20 releases, close to 30 releases, to win it. And, even when you're not in the mix, but if you've released a dozen fish, it's fun.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, catching fish when you have a dozen sailfish in a day, that's an awesome day, man.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I want to say Sandman was somewhere, I think it was 27 or 28 releases that they won that tournament with. And the other thing that is like so kind of exhilarating is when you see these boats clearing the inlet and coming in, and it's just riggers full of sailfish release flags. It is like, it's inspiring, you know. It just gets your competitive juices flowing, and like,
How jealous do you
has you
get?
wanting to say like, I want to go fish tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh. I mean, I think one of the greatest prides that that competitive sail fishermen have is how many flags they can string up at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. It's you know, there's no argument about some level of ego, right? And how many flags that you can string up on that rigger has a lot to do with that.
It might be close to catching that fish. You know, it might be putting that flag up is just as, it feels just as good coming through the inlet.
Yeah,
You know?
no doubt.
Absolutely. So let's now fast forward. We talked about the challenge. You know, let's talk about final sale and what changes are happening. So I'm down in South Miami. You're going to be in my backyard now in Coconut Grove, right?
Yeah. We made that shift last year, and it was just a 180-degree kind of turnaround, all for the better. And take nothing away from where the event was previous years. We had a great host venue partner, but it was just time for a change. And the Grove it's gone through so many improvements, and it's just such an amazing place down there that's kind of retained, you know, the green space and kind of that Grove feel, but with a lot of other new restaurants and bars and things on the water. And so we hooked up with Shake a Leg Miami, who's a historic organization down in the Grove. Harry Horgan and I have become very close. He is the founder of Shake a Leg, and what I love about them is the work that they do to give both, you know, a lot of youth and kids with disabilities, you know, whether that's physically, mentally, economically, the opportunity to experience what, you know, water activities can be like and can do for you on many different levels. So it started out just as a venue arrangement, and last year we held our kickoff party there. They've got an old hangar there that you just walk into it, and you can feel the history, right? It was back in the, I don't know which war it was in the earlier years, but it was a Coast Guard hangar for the Coast Guard back in those days. And
Must be cool.
Yeah, and it was built for that very purpose, you know, for protection of the homeland in the event of war. So they have the property, they have the hangar. That's where we did a lot of the social activities, as well as their balcony overlooking Biscayne Bay. And then going into this year, we actually made them the exclusive charity of Final Sale. So all the fundraising efforts that go on, 100% of those charitable proceeds will go to them and support the wonderful causes that they engage in on a daily basis.
That's incredible.
And then on the flip side, we you literally could walk a couple hundred yards south, and our Saturday night party to close out the Quest for the Crest is at Bayshore Club. Have you ever been there?
Yeah, of course.
So you know,
right there on
right
the water.
next to it's right next to Regatta Grove. Just such an amazing space, open space. You've got all those cabanas. Raymarine, our presenting sponsor, they had their own cabana to just socialize with the teams and showcase some of the product. And of course, rightfully so, Team Liquidated had their Champions Cabana. And it was just a great space, beautiful time of the year to be outside. And so I would say that for anybody that's not, like, if you haven't been, or if you've been to the tournament previously, and maybe like the Miami Beach vibe wasn't your thing, you got to come experience it with us at the Grove. It is, it's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love it down there. Me and my buddies go down on Friday nights down to Regatta Grove right there.
Right.
We have a good time, and I'm just excited I don't have to drive to Palm Beach.
Yeah, no doubt. It's, the only thing I don't like about going down to Miami is driving in the traffic, man.
Oh, yeah.
Got to be honest.
Oh,
but once we get there, and we can actually kind of just hunker down in the Grove, it's it's as good as anywhere.
There's nothing like the Grove down in Miami.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So now I got a really cool screen behind me right here, right? Like this Raymarine.
Yes, sir.
They're new for the Quest this year, right?
No, this is their
Or no?
second. This is their
Their
second.
second.
Their second year,
Okay.
but they double down, and they are they're committed to not only a great relationship with us, but to really building relationships with competitive fishermen. I'm building a new 37 CV as we speak. That's going to be outfitted with all new Raymarine equipment. In terms of electronics, this will be my first time ever running Raymarine equipment, so I'm excited. And there's unknowns at the same time, right? But if what was kind of all of the, I would say, confirmation that I ever needed is guys that I fish with and respect immensely have been running Raymarine for years. And that was even before some of the major technology improvements that they've made with the new Axiom product and stuff coming down the pipeline right now. But top fisherman from Ray Rocher, he has a burgundy jacket to his name. Captain Q, Quentin Dieterle, burgundy jacket to his name. Art Sapp, native son, you know who he is, right?
Of course.
He doesn't have a burgundy jacket, but he's, I think, runner-up for the burgundy jacket 3 times, been in the race 5 times. On the Summer Series side, he's won the championship 5 times.
Way more than respectable.
So the list goes on and on. You fished with the Kelleher family and Miss Michelle. They've had tremendous success on the
Love
meat fish
Will.
side, Raymarine guys. So people that know what they're doing are running the equipment. And so that was really the selling point for me as well, is to I'm super excited to play with it, and I'm gonna have side scan for the first time on it, which I've never had before. Super fast. We're gonna have Starlink on the new boat.
Okay.
So a lot of these apps that they integrate with, like YouTube TV.
Go watch Netflix.
If I happen to be out on the water on a Saturday, I'm never gonna miss my Florida Gators play.
There you go.
And you wouldn't have to miss your Miami Hurricanes
I know.
play.
Well,
Which, by the way, the Florida Gators. Have you seen their recruiting that they're doing right now?
yeah,
Yeah,
it's looking good.
it's looking real good.
Oh,
so,
okay.
so what you served up to us in Gainesville this past September?
Sorry about that. I love you, Jamie,
Yeah.
but we had to.
Listen, I think redemption is coming in the fall of 2025. So we'll see. They're
We'll
matched
see.
up. They're matched up again next year.
Yeah,
one
yeah,
more year.
I know.
One
I
more
know.
year.
We should get to that game together, man.
So, but going back to Raymarine, one thing that I do want to mention is anybody that's in the market for new electronics, whether they're refitting a boat or whether they're building a new boat like I am right now. I know they have a pretty deep discount that they have just done a price drop on the Axiom equipment. I think we're going to show on the screen here the actual website address where they can go to check out that price drop, raymarine.com/Axiom price drop. And check it out. They've got some good information there on the new product, and we have a little bit more to share with you on behalf of Raymarine.
All right, guys, and now we're back, and we're going to talk about something super exciting that's coming back this season in the Quest for the Crest. So, Jamie, we got a $100,000 guarantee from Raymarine and Yamaha, right?
That's right.
Can you break that down for me?
I can. So Yamaha, the official outboard sponsor, and Raymarine, our presenting sponsor, got together and they wrote a really, really hefty check that we're going to subsidize together with some entry fee money on the registration side. But it's $100,000 and it's a 50-30-20. So 50,000 guaranteed, 30,000 guaranteed, 20,000 guaranteed, offered at the last leg, final sale in Coconut Grove. And the only way you can even be eligible to get in for that buy-in is if you've registered for the 3 tournaments, right? So $1,200 entry fee into the first 3 tournaments. Hopefully you've had some success along the way by the time you get to final sale in April. It's a $2,000 buy-in for the 100,000 guarantee, but whether there's 10 boats in it or 20 boats in it, that money's guaranteed because of basically the subsidy from our sponsors.
That's incredible.
And to give you an example of the power of that, we had, I want to say we were low to mid 30s as far as the number of boats in the field at final sale last year, which was our smallest tournament. However, we fielded our largest payout because of that guarantee. Sam Ann won the tournament, I think it was $220-some thousand. You had the remix guys that won close to $100,000 because they picked up a portion of that in the $30,000 payout. Priceless, those guys won the 3rd place with that and had a nice paycheck as well. And the best part of it is it's not like, unlike the quest for the Crest where it's cumulative, and to win that jacket, you have to stay in the mix the whole time. You can't fumble the ball anywhere, right?
Yeah.
For the guarantee, it's a clean slate in April. It's 2 days of fishing. You start from zero. What you did in the previous 2 events means nothing. So you just get yourself to final sale, get yourself the opportunity to get in for that guarantee, and you're in it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So these teams have it's an even competitive playing field when that comes around in April.
Yeah, they don't have to make up any major deficit.
Right.
It starts from zero, and may the best team in those 2 days is going to be the team who wins that 50 grand and second place 30, so on and so forth.
That's awesome. I mean, that's a lot of money to compete for. That's going to be exciting to see.
Hey, listen,
wire.
A $2,000 buy-in and a $50,000 guarantee. I don't know about you, but my math, that's 25x. I'll take that any day of the week.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah.
You mentioned remix, and I hear something's going on, called Discover Ray, right?
It is.
What is it?
I'm getting parched. You got to give me a second.
Oh, man, we're going to have a beer? Let's do it.
Well, I wasn't offering you one, but since
I'll
you
have
asked.
one. What is that? I heard something down the grapevine. Remix is involved. What's going down?
Yeah, so it's an idea that I've had for a while, and fortunately, between Jamie Derry, president of Raymarine, Gordon Sprouse, marketing, they're open-minded, creative guys. We've got a great relationship, and I presented the idea to them and the package that we put together, and they were just all in. So Discover Ray basically is an opportunity to acquaint a team with Raymarine, preferably a team that's never had Raymarine or no prior experience with Raymarine before. The general consensus with a lot of the core team is with what their development team is doing and the product that they're rolling out. Not only will it compete with any of the brands out there, but in many capacities, it's superior. And this is an opportunity, I think, to put that product in the hands of an avid fishing team, somebody that knows potentially what they value, what's important to them and how they use their electronics to not only maybe fish day in, day out, but to be successful competitively, and go through that process of just seeing, understanding where their perception of Raymarine was from the beginning, and kind of ride along with them as we go through that process of getting some Raymarine on the boat, getting out fishing with them, them competing, and seeing where they sit with it at the end, right? And so, we shared that opportunity to, the teams in the Quest, and we had a lot of interest. There was just one obvious front runner in terms of the teams that responded that ultimately Raymarine ended up selecting. That was Captain J.C. Clear and Team Remix.
I love that.
Who
great
you know
guys.
them?
Yeah, I know them very well. Yeah, JC and
Have you fished with them before?
I haven't been on the boat with them, but I've had them on the podcast.
Okay.
I know them very well. I mean, they were down in Miami. They just moved.
Yeah.
But yeah.
We just literally interviewed them a couple days ago. Jazz, my YouTube producer, as we were doing the first cut in that series, and it was basically just kind of a preliminary, who he is, background, a little bit of a, his affiliation with other brands and, Raymarine and all that stuff.
That's super exciting.
But, so to dive a little bit deeper with that, so we selected them. I mean, John Dudas, as we've already said, he's the best. JC would sit here, if he was sitting here in this room, he would say the same thing.
Absolutely.
Without question, the most successful team that you could almost make the argument of they've created a name for themselves with that word dynasty is Team Remix. His team has won the Burgundy Jacket 4 times.
They're jacket winners.
Yeah.
That's an understatement.
And even when they haven't won the jacket, they've been relevant plenty, right? He's a full-time charter guy. He's fished tournaments for decades. Obviously, I think it's great that Sarah is involved and they do it together as husband and wife. But I think he brings a lot to the table in terms of somebody who has a very, very deep level of experience and knowledge working, running big boats, center consoles, running other brands, but having never worked with Raymarine before.
Yeah.
So we're excited to get the product on the boat. We're excited to for him to get out fishing. He's building a new 44 again for the season.
Yep.
I think it's going to be ready in about 2 weeks out of the factory, and then he's got the electronics rigging happening elsewhere. They should be ready to splash it here in a few weeks, and then we go from there. I think he's going to be pleased. I think he's going to be happy, but I haven't run the equipment yet either, so there's a learning curve for me as well.
Well, I think it's going to be awesome that you guys are going to be able to really see that progression as he uses it all, and it's going to be awesome to see the team adapt to it and everybody.
Well, and I think that's where the viewers will be able to we'll be able to take them along for the experience, because we're going to basically put this together, like I said, kind of in a documentary style where they're going to learn a little bit more about him initially, how this all came together, the product going on the boat, and get to kind of ride along, with our camera crew on board with them, fishing, using it, testing it, maybe even bait fishing and some of the other stuff. And then we want to sit right back down with them at the end of the season, just the same way we started the conversation. And I literally interviewed him on camera, 3 days ago, and I said, and this comes right from the mouth of the president of Raymarine, we don't want anything candy coated. We want your honest opinion. What's your perception of Raymarine as a
100%.
brand? And I'm really excited to see how we marry up what his perception was to start, and as he goes through the experience of using it in the real saltwater application, and we can get some input from him after being a real user of the product, where he sits with it.
Absolutely. I'm excited to see it. Can't wait to see it, JC. So as we're coming to a close right now, what do people need to do to be participating in the Quest this season? What are the next steps?
Yeah, so registration is open. It's open for all 3 tournaments. Operation Sailfish is January 15th through the 19th, as we said earlier, at Sailfish Marina. Early registration is $1,200 per boat. We place no limit on anglers or any of that type of stuff. And early registration is valid through January 2nd. So this is out obviously well in advance of that. Entry fee climbs after the 2nd to $1,700. So my recommendation, save that $500, put it in your fuel tank, put it in a Calcutta, do whatever you want with it. But registration is at fish.bluewatermovements.com, and that's where they can go to get the process started. And obviously, we'd love to have people involved for all 3 legs of the series, but it's also not a requirement. If they can only fish 1 or 2 legs, we've had that question before. That's fine as well.
Awesome. Sweet. So I'm excited. Let's see how many teams get in there. Hopefully it's the biggest one yet. And,
yeah, we set a record in Palm Beach last year. We had 62 boats in the fleet, which is the most we've ever had. First time that we eclipsed 60, which was super strong. We hit 60 in February as well. We've got to work on getting some of those guys to not take off for the Bahamas and the Northeast so fast and stick around with us for final sale in April. But we also don't have, which I think if anybody sees this that might be a Viking owner, it'll be good to know. We were able to work together with the folks at Viking, and we precede them this year in terms of the Viking Owners event down in Key West. So there's no overlap. Final sale will happen before the weekend before Viking Owners down in Key West for the guys that might have an appetite to do both.
Awesome. So, Jamie, I appreciate you sitting down with me, man. Guys, you guys got to tune in next time. We're going to have another podcast called At the Turn, sitting down with the 3 leaders of the Quest after the second tournament, after the challenge, and we're going to get down to it, and we're going to see who's going to duke it out to the end. All right, guys? Thank you, Jamie.
Appreciate you having me, bud.
Of course. See you later, guys. Next time on The Science of Fishing.
Thanks for joining us on The Science of Fishing. We hope that this episode was helpful and you learned something for the next time you're wetting a line. Before we cast off, a special thanks to our sponsors, Bloody Battery, Sea Mule, and Black Reef Company. Stay hooked by following us on social media at Science of Fishing and hitting the subscribe button. And if you know someone who'd enjoy this, please share it with them. Until we meet again, catch 'em up.